We go to episode 4 of ESPN's woke documentary, Skin in the Game. No! This time, blame Whooitey for the way Latinos play baseball.
You know your damn role.
What the fuck?
Why?
You're a fucking idiot.
Just cause. I'm Jazz Berganzo, and this...
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
It's what's next. A good day to you all. Jazz Berganzo, what's next? Your daily dose, facts, common sense, and salt. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Friday. Yes, TGIF. Well, it's been a little bit, but this is episode 4 of ESPN's woke documentary, Skin in the Game. This time, they blame Whooitey for the way Latinos play baseball. Why? Because of course they do. This, coming out of Outkick, ESPN Abram X. Kendi documentary says Major League Baseball forced Latino players to learn the Whooitey style of America's pastime. Nice. Because of course they did. Episode 4, America's pastime. ESPN Abram X. Kendi decided to take a break from focusing only on black athletes to shift to Latino players. Why? Because of persons of color. In Major League Baseball for episode 4, thousands of Latin American baseball players dream of making it to the States to play for the majors. True. Some of them flee from horrible situations. Yet ESPN and Kendi make the claim that, you guessed it, the country is racist against them. Fascinating how many non-white people around the world are willing to risk their lives to get into this horrible racist nation. The episode begins with Kendi saying that people think Latino American players are bad for baseball. This is a classic straw man argument. Who is saying this? In fact, Google it. The only stories that come up with the ones arguing for Major League Baseball America is racist are exploiting Latin American players. No one is arguing, suggesting that baseball is better with less Latino players. Not one. As you can see there, that is Big Papi, David Ortiz, former Boston Red Sox great. Kendi lays out the idea that Latin American players are forced to assimilate into American culture when they get here. Let me take a moment on my soapbox, if you'll indulge me. I absolutely abhor the hypocrisy of this argument. And unlike Kendi, I know that people are making this case all the time. Google Assimilation Washington Post or Assimilation New York Times, and you'll see what I mean. These quote-unquote journalists make the argument that it's wrong to think that immigrants in this country should try to fit in with American culture. Fine, I'm not going to argue that, even though I might disagree. But imagine for a moment that an American says something like this. I moved to Brazil, and none of them spoke English. They need to respect my American heritage. Can you fathom the outcry of someone saying that? That's their country. You have no right to go there and demand they adhere to your cultural norms. I absolutely agree. If you're Mexico, you're coming here. You're here to become an American. You're not here to become a Mexican who lives in America. But I'll give you my thoughts on that at the end. Seems like you may apply the logic in reverse too, but no, racism is a one-way street, as we all know. Kendi's commentary exposes his racisms. This is how you know that all these anti-racists are really just racist. Here's what they're actually saying. If people immigrate to America, they don't have to learn the language or the customs. And we need to accept that. Why? Because we're America. We're better. Plus, they don't know any better. Those countries, though, you can't expect them to have the same standards as we have here in the United States. It's funny how all people shout the loudest on how horrible this country is to a very high standard. You think they wouldn't. After all, what did you expect from a racist America? The next voice we hear is the episode of Ada Rodriguez, who fronted as a comedian. Never heard of her. Don't really give a fuck. I can't believe they included her in their soundbite, quite honestly. Assimilation is a very touchy topic when it comes to Latinos because many of them see this as a positive thing, which is true. You're here to become an American. You're here not to hold on to your heritage. Again, sorry, I'll give those thoughts at the end. They're like, we're here, we're in America. What's wrong with being an American? Great question. What's wrong with being an American? You left your home country, presumably, to live a better life than the one you had. If I did that, I never stopped celebrating my new land for providing the opportunity. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to be born here in the U.S. I have to leave for a better life. Credit those Latinos who want to be Americans. Although it's sad to say that many immigrants are more, quote, proud to be an American than 1,000, if not millions, of natural citizens. Sad, but true. ESPN, Candy X, unwritten cultural rules. Mostly this applies to things like bat flips and excessive celebration, by the way, which divides a lot of fans in a constant debate. Some like it, some don't. That's fine. This is America. People are entitled to their personal opinions. But those who don't like it, well, of course, you know they're just racists. They are not respecting Latino culture, affinity for bat flips. The unwritten rules are invisible doctrine and pressures all kinds of players to conform to a, quote, white style of playing the game, Kenny says. The unwritten rules essentially tell Latino baseball players that the language they speak, the way they play the game, needs to change. First of all, Latin American players did not invent the celebration. Plenty of white baseball players have gotten the pitch in the ear hole for breaking the unwritten rules. You can go back over the last 3-4 decades of baseball and you'll see what we mean. That's part of baseball. Yes, making a, quote, a white thing is inherently racist, though. Then again, Kenny has a lot of inherently racist thoughts. Bob Gibson, one of the greatest players ever, and a black man, openly talked about throwing at hitters. He threw a brushback pitch with attitude. Should we call throwing at hitters a black American style of playing the game? Well, no, that would be racist. So too will be telling Gibson not to throw at hitters. Apparently, we have to respect his cultural norms, right? This episode continues with a history lesson of assimilation practices in the early 1900s. Like in previous episode, Kenny has to rely on things like from well in the past because those issues don't really exist today. To Kenny, ESPN's credit, they do include multiple sound bites, like the one about with Rodriguez, to say that some assimilation practices are actually a good thing. I found this comical, though. I'm now on the 4th episode, the first 3. There was not one mention of anything positive. Anything was about how horrible white people and America is to black people. Yet, here we are talking about Latinos, and suddenly some of them wasn't all that bad. See, Kendi needs to remind you that even though Latinos might face some racisms, it's not as bad as what it is for black people. Got to keep that victim hierarchy intact. Michael Vargas, to explain that not speaking English made life difficult. Vargas, 23-year-old Dodgers player, joins the show to explain the difficulty he had when he faced to come to America to play minor league baseball. No one in Michigan and Utah, where he played, spoke Spanish, and that made it tough for him to do things like order food from restaurants. Well, if you took the time to learn just a little bit of English, about 5 minutes worth, that'll get you a long way. Although this documentary quickly mentions and moves on for the fact that he came to the U.S. from Cuba, yet the horrors of not being able to order an American restaurant might be quite comparable to living under the oppressive thumb of a communist dictator like, I don't know, Castro or Maduro. Just saying. I understand it's difficult to move to a new country and not knowing the language. It's not unique to immigrate to the United States. If I moved from aforementioned Brazil, I've had to learn Portuguese. After the Rojas story, the episode continues with the usual panel discussions. This one includes former Major League Baseball player Eduardo Perez, Professor Adrian Burgos Jr., journalist Jesus Ortiz. Again, I lifted their titles from the ESPN press release. Once again, they continue the theme of the episode. There's nothing worth delving into that I didn't already cover. Going to do a little bit of editing just to cut this down a bit. But as a Latino myself, I was never really into baseball as a kid. I gravitated towards football. Philadelphia Eagles. I gravitated towards basketball. That was my first love. First time I saw Dr. J, when I was 7 years old, I lost my mind. Who knew a man could fly? Yes, this was pre-Jordan, but yes. So that was my first love. Didn't care. Dr. J was a different color than I was. Didn't care. The man was phenomenal. Didn't care that most of the players that I watched on that 76ers team in the early years were black. Didn't bother me one bit. Same goes with football. Majority of football is about 80% Black or Latino or other. It's about the game. It's about the game. It's not about my representation. It's about the game. Same thing when it goes to Major League Baseball. Latino players have made this game great. Roberto Clemente, the first Puerto Rican player to play in the majors, who's in the Hall of Fame, by the way, because of how great he was as a player. When I first saw him as a kid, I didn't go, wow, I'm represented. I feel great. No. He was a great baseball player who just happened to be Puerto Rican. So that is something that I was able to share with my friends when I was younger. And of course, my mom and dad, my mom more so, she was more into baseball, got a kick out of, Roberto Clemente. Amazing player, amazing player. But yeah, sorry about that. Took a side road there. But when it comes to ESPN and this woke doc, again, to make it clear, Ken DX makes it very clear that the black player, the hierarchy, know your role, Latinos. You're down here, we're up here as far as being abused by American sports culture. And of course, again, straw man argument, again, bullshit. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. And we'll see you next time. Peace.